The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He
back
missed
to
the
his
pit complete. That is crazy
Side by
stuff.
side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through, he tags Richard Eck. The lights are off and away they
got
go.
extremely loose. He's managed to hold on it. They get
He
very
missed the
close.
pit complete. That is crazy
As I
stuff.
said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He sliced through, he tags Richard Eklund.
Last time on the Blondies MX5 World Tour.
The green light has come on and Jan Freitas is away with Jay Janus directly behind him. They are followed by Jan Koemans, who straight away jumps to the lead. And let's see how they get through this one. We've got Jan Koemans going wide. Freitas overtakes him. Jay Janus spins his car. And Jay Janus loses a lot of position, and now the new leader is Richard Eklund by the looks of things. It's Eklund in first place. He's followed by Freitas in second place, and now Sergio Moura has got up to third place. As we see Koemans once again, Jan Koemans with another slowdown.
Yeah, fight for the lead. And Eklund just got to slow down the first chicane going side by side.
Now Moura has taken over the second place, and Jan Freitas now leads the race. Sergio Moura in the green car going very wide on the entry to turn 1, and he's got to slow down as well now because he's braked and allowed Rato through as well. So a very bad lap for him there, Stefan. Where is Freitas? Is Freitas coming out? Freitas is coming out at the moment.
Close, yeah.
Eklund is going into turn 1. Looks like he's got the first place, Stefan.
We have to always keep the back of the mind of Jan Koemans, because he actually has made some pretty fast laps before he's pit stop. And if he can keep this up, he might just be back up in the contention for the win in the end.
I don't think that Koemans will have enough time to get out of the pits before Eklund passes, Stefan.
No, he's just starting loading now, so he'll come up behind that trio of Eklund, Freitas and Tuliani. And I think Freitas still got a slow down on that chicane, and also Eklund got one.
Eklund got a slow down right there, and Freitas
Tuliainen
now
in the
slows
lead.
down as well. Tuliainen inherits first place, Stefan. As we see Freitas going really wide there, Koemans just about touches him.
Yeah, I think that was caused by Freitas in the last chicane getting a slowdown, and he tried to take the slow through turn 1, and that gave him wide, and Koemans trying to go to the inside.
We see a slowdown, and the two of them missed that. My goodness gracious. Now we see Moura passing by both of those two. So all happening at the moment.
Oh, and Jan Freitas is right into the wall on the front straight. That's probably the end of his race.
Dear oh dear, no, he's still going. He spun right around. He may have tapped the wall, but certainly the car is still going. Here we go. Another
And Eklund just slowed down.
Yes, sir. Eklund got a slowdown. So he has now given up that position, second position that was, to Sergio Moura. And now we with Tuliainen who's leading this race, and it looks all bar the shouting that Team Tuliainen, I believe it might be his third win in the championship, bearing in mind he won the first two. He crosses the line as we speak. In second place behind him, Sergio Moura. Third place, Jan Koemans.
Fourth place, Richard Eklund. Fifth place, Joe Freitas. Sixth place, Simon van Duyn.
Welcome to Road Atlanta, home of round 13 in the Blondies MX5 World Tour, and you're watching it live on the global SimRacing channel. I'm your host, Joe Peak. With me in the booth today is our own touch of British charm, Mr. Samuel Ryman. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, Drew. Great to be back here. Really looking forward to watching the Blondies guys have a go at it again.
Myself as well. Also with us today is the MX5 maestro, Ayrton Ellis. Always a pleasure, Ayrton.
Thanks, Joe. Great to be here at one of my favorite tracks.
Mine as well. And as always, behind the scenes is our director, Giancarlo Lindsay, diligently pointing the cameras at all the best action on the track. Now, like I said, Darren, I'm very partial to this track. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about this, like some of the information?
No problem, Joe. This track is 2.5 miles long, 12 turns, and we're going to be doing 26 laps around it. And a lot of people like this track, like you and I said, and it's also considered quite a draft track as well because it has a very, very long back straight, which is a little swiggly, but mostly straight full throttle. So it will provide a lot of action on the straight with a lot of passing opportunities as well. And it's a very fast track, so also very easy to go off the track and make mistakes.
Yes, we'll be looking to see a lot of guys possibly get punished by those very close walls today. Now, as for the championship, that's close as well. Sam, do you have some information for us on what the points are?
Yes, well, you should be able to get a visual representation here, but Richard Eklund has 904 points, but really the big thing about that number is it's only 9 markers more than what Jan Koemans has behind him, 895. Koemans has really been on the roll recently, and it's very close between those two at the top of the standings. Third place is Sergio Mura, 47 points back. Amjad Yamin 55 points and Zhao Fei 71. But Road Atlanta's a very tricky track, Joe, and if Eklund and Koemans have trouble today, this could all swing around.
Yeah, we've only got 2 rounds left, so it's starting to get down to the end, and things are going to shake out eventually, but in this series, it doesn't seem to be over. But before we talk more about some of the stories going on in this race, we want to take you on a guided lap around this track, thanks to the very kind Richard Eklund. So we'll pull that video up and take you on a tour. All right, we've got Eklund behind the wheel, GSRC on the hood of our MX-5, and we're about to take a lap around Road Atlanta. Coming across the start-finish line, you've got the fast right-hander of Turn 1 coming up. The very brave are going to try to go through here too wide, but it's going to slow each car up. Get all the way to the inside curb and then track out all the way to the outside curbs because you got to carry your speed up this steep uphill. Then you've got braking for Turn 3. Pretty tricky, and it's blind. Take as much of that inside curb as you can, but don't get too greedy because you can get a slowdown penalty if you're not careful. Now you've got the S's. It's going to be single file through here, but it's still flat to the floor, so you got to get the line right. Then braking for Turn 5. Left, uphill, very fast, and you're going to see guys possibly oversteer and lose it off into the barriers. Then the approach to Turn 6. This could be a passing zone if you got a good run coming out of 5, but once again, fast corner because of that banking. Get that curbing on the right there, then it's a short burst into 7. Most important corner on the circuit. You really want to set yourself up for the exit because of this back straightaway. You're going to see guys possibly take a slower entry just so that they can set up a better exit out of here. Now, even though the rest of this track is a very technical track, because of this long back stretch and the draft in these MX-5s, it's going to be a very strategic race. And you're going to see guys possibly wait for the end to snipe somebody just to get a spot. Now you're approaching turns 10A and 10B, the chicane. This is your best passing opportunity on the whole course. Heavy braking. You're going to see guys go too wide through here, but you can defend on the outside. Now, once again, important to get the exit right because you're going to be flat all the way to turn 1. Up over the crest, heading into that fast right final corner. Very scary in faster cars, but this one's pretty easy. Cross the start-finish line, and you finished a lap around Road Atlanta. And I'm always grateful that Richard comes around and gives us those laps. He is excellent around this place, as he is most tracks on this iRacing service. But we mentioned a little bit earlier about some of the stories of this race. One of the major ones, obviously, is the championship hunt. Now, Sam, we talked about this a little bit before the race. Koemans, even though he's on an upswing, he really just hasn't had it his own way this season.
No, he hasn't, and a lot of people may say that's because of a quick 6 gimmick. I don't necessarily think so. We've seen Koemans lead in races, such as at the Charlotte Road Course, and just throw the lead away. He really is, there's a lot more pressure behind him from all these newer, faster faces coming in the series, and every now and then Koemans slips up, but there are 3 rounds left, including today's race, and if he can get out of Road Atlanta with a good finish, and Eklund, for some reason, may not have a good race, I think that could still put him in really good championship contention in the final 2 rounds.
Definitely. It ain't over till the fat lady sings. And we talked also a little bit about our other championship contenders. They're a little bit farther away, Ayrton. But 3rd through 5th, they're a little bit more of a long shot, kind of a dark horse, it seems.
Yeah, you're completely right, Joe. These guys, Sergio Mora, Amjad Yam, and Jeff Freitas, they've all been around, but not quite consistently getting very good finishes. And also, they've missed multiple races as well. Richard Eklund hasn't missed a single race, and Jan Kumint has either had a bad race or won. So these guys, they're always right there, but not quite there to get those wins. And João Freitas at the moment, one of our highest guys in the point standings without a win.
Which is a shame considering he did fairly well last season, although I believe it took him until like the second to last race to get his win in as well. So maybe he's just a late bloomer. Another name that we should mention that looked like he was in the championship hunt until injury got in the way was Uros Jelenko. He unfortunately had an ankle injury earlier in the season, and he's been out. He might have been in here today, but it turns out he just wasn't quite ready yet. We heard that he was talking in the chat, and that he said he will be back next week, hopefully. So we look forward to seeing him back. He is a fast character. Another thing to talk about before we get gridded up here, we still got a few more minutes, is some of the corners on this track really are prone to catching even the best drivers out, Sam. Turn 3 in particular seems like it's very notorious.
Yeah, we already see drivers on the chat telling each other, hey, I'm going to be a bit cautious in turn 3, watch out for me. We'll see whether that happens or not. Usually the Blondies drivers are very good at being clean on the first lap. Really, the only time we've seen a huge wreck this season was at Sebring. We had a 4-car pile-up mid-race, battling through about 6th to 10th position. Usually these drivers are pretty clean, but still, you can get the best drivers in the world heading into that turn 3. There could be a little bit of contact. This is a 26-lap race, Joe. It's a long race, so these drivers really have to be cautious on the first lap, and I think they can do it.
Yeah, and it's not just the first lap that they have to think about, but I guess we could say the first and the last one are going to be two of the most important ones. Because, Ayrton, you talked about the draft battles around here. I mean, what are these guys going to have to be thinking about, and what's the strategy going in?
Well, I think some drivers will be treating this race almost like a roval track, where you can get that snipe at the end. There is a few corners before the finish line on the coming to the last lap. That long straight heads to a chicane, which you can make a pretty easy pass on the outside or inside going into that corner. So I think we could see some really close battles coming to the line on this track.
In fact, I believe we saw a pretty close battle last time we were here for Blondies, which was last season on the full course. That was an endurance race, so it was a completely different world to this one, which is going to be about 45 minutes long, so it's a bit more of a sprint race. Another driver that we've talked about and we've seen actually win 2 races, but just hasn't quite been able to be up there in the championship, Sam, is Timo. We talked a little bit about him before the race.
Yeah, Timo Tuliainen, I've got to admit, I've been a spectator for a lot of the season. I haven't been able to make these broadcasts, but every time I watch the race highlights, it seems that Timo's getting involved in some kind of incident. Not always his fault. Sometimes he's just that bad luck guy, and maybe he could blame a bit of that to qualifying. He doesn't seem to be the hottest qualifier on Earth. I believe he's starting in about 8th or something today. Don't quote me on that. But every time he can get through the race without an incident, it seems that he finishes either 1st or 2nd. He has finished 2nd 3 times this season. He has got 2 wins, and in pretty much every other race he's had some kind of incident. So I really hope for Tuliainen that he has a clean start today, gets through the field, because I think you could see him up there challenging for the win.
I wouldn't put it past him. Like you said, the times that we've seen him clean, he's just been incredibly impressive. We've got a little bit more time left, so I just want to get you guys' calls. Sam, who do you think's got it today?
Well, I'm going to pick Freitas, because I believe he started here 9th last season and was still able to pick off a 2nd place finish. He was the fastest, I believe, in practice before qualifying started. He's going to be up there on the grid today. And also, it's a very short race, and at a tricky track, a short race rewards consistency and lack of mistakes. And I think those are two things that Freitas is very good at.
Ayrton, who's your pick?
Well, I would put my bets on probably Jan Koemans, even though he's starting in 5th place. But I also kind of want to root for Thomas Hallinan. He qualified 3rd fastest and is starting on the front row, so I think he may have a good chance at getting a podium today as well.
Me personally, I think I'm going to go for Sergio Mora. He's kind of been up there or thereabouts. I wouldn't put him past him to shake everybody and get himself back into the championship. But they're gridding up now, so we've got the top 10 ready to go. We're going to call it out for you. Evan Maillard is starting out on the pole. Tumas Hallinen's completing the front row. João Freitas is starting in 3rd. Amjad Yaman is beginning in 4th. Then Jan Koemans in 5th. Richard Eklund completes the quick 6 gimmick, and then we hop to Sergio Mora in 7th. Joshua Leutz is starting in 8th. Timo Tuliainen is 9th, and Jer Janis is in 10th. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a thriller today. This track always puts up very interesting results with that draft battles that we mentioned earlier, so we're probably going to see a lot of fighting going on throughout the entire thing. We're just getting ready and waiting for the cars to rev up, for the lights to go out and come back on. So we're going to be calling the start any second now. I'm going to hop down and see if anybody's revving their engines quite yet, and there's the lights right there, actually. So we're waiting for the green as the engines go up. There's the lights, and they are away at Road Atlanta. Evan Maillard leads them off with Eklund, that's Tumas Hallinan coming up the outside. He has got a fairly good start, but he's only halfway up Maillard's car. It looks like Amjad Yaman got a good run on Freitas coming up into that first left or right-hander, but nothing doing. And Koemans goes a little wide. Looks like he dipped a wheel off, but he keeps it together as they come towards tricky turn 3, Sam.
Timo Tuliainen did not get going, and also Mihai Messerson did not make a grid. I don't know what happened with Timo, but he's only leaving the line right now. Amazingly, they all get through turn 3 okay on the first lap, and
yeah, it looks like, yeah, very clean. I haven't seen any incidents so far. A couple of people skimming the dirt, but that's it so far. We did see some action in the midfield going 3 wide into turn 1, but everyone got out okay.
Boy, Tuliainen has his work cut out for him. I'm looking at him right now, and he is far back there, but we're going to stick with the lead pack here as Maillard actually starts to already get a gap, and this could be crucial, Sam. If he could break the draft this early, this could be a romp for him.
Yeah, Dexter Castro also starting from pit road, so take his name. He's going to have his work cut out for him. But yeah, like you say, if Evan Maillard he's kind of got to do a Sebastian Vettel right here. Break a draft. There's no DRS coming for Thomas Hallinan, but certainly it's going to feel like it if he gets that slipstream going down the straight. Coming up to 115, 120 miles an hour into this left-right chicane, which will take him out onto a right-hander sweep and across the line to complete lap 1 of 26. They got to do all this 25 more times, Jan.
Yes, and I think that Hallinan might still have him a little bit, but he's got to hold on pretty tight this next lap around, so he's still in it. Sam, we talked a little bit about Hallinan, that he's got the speed, but he seems slightly mistake-prone, so he's going to have to hold it together this race.
I was just looking at the stats. It doesn't look like Hallinan's gotten better than a 5th place finish all season. Look at this. Mihai Messerson just coming out the pits now. Hits Maillard. Didn't see him. Into the lead goes Thomas Hallinan.
Wow, unexpected development right away. That puts Maillard back. I don't know that he got much damage there. It was just a glancing blow, although those side-to-sides can hurt them. You're looking at the replay right now, I believe, and it looks like Maillard's actually already in the clutches of Freitas, Ayrton.
Yeah, it looks like it. And that hit looked pretty hard onto his right rear, so that might have damaged some suspension, but he seems to be going okay now, but that could hurt his cornering speed and maybe even make his pit stop longer later on in the race.
And we're getting some information that Timo got a stop and go for jumping the start, so it's gone from bad to worse for him. This is not his day. I'm still looking at Freitas, and he has got Amjad Yaman all over the back of him at this point.
No one's broke anyone's draft right now, Joe, but Timo Tuliainen is out of the race. He has retired from the race, and unfortunately I don't think Mihai will be far behind him, because Mihai has had some issues going on, and there's a battle for 3rd right now. Amjad Yaman looking 3rd on Freitas, and let's not forget, these are 2 drivers that are contending for points in the championship, and right now they're ahead of Koemans and Eklund.
Yeah, besides our first two, it looks like a lot of these top guys are our championship contenders because we've got Freitas, Yaman, then Koumans, and then Eklund right behind him. So they're all together, although Eklund is starting to drop just a little bit, which surprises me because Koumans was the fastest in qualifying despite his starting position, and Yaman is all over the back of Freitas still. So Yaman, either he's waiting patiently or maybe he's not. He's starting to look on the outside coming towards 3. No, he backs out again. So it looks like Yaman's going to wait a little bit, even though he's got the speed on Freitas, Ayrton.
Yeah, and Koumans is right there as well. They gotta be careful in these section on the first half of the track because there is really no passing points except for turn 1. So it's good not to be too over aggressive really early. And it looks like Tuas Halman actually went really wide. Same as João Freitas, and Amjad Yaman's going to get alongside of him. Will he clear him for the next corner?
And this is the kind of racing that you tend to see from Yaman. I mean, there's a reason we call him the doctor. He's such a smart driver that all he's got to do is wait for those mistakes from someone, and then he just pounces. He's a real thinker's driver, and I know I have a lot of admiration for those guys, but still, this is 3rd place already. This is why this guy is up there in the championship. It looks like our lead battle is still on, although Maillard still has some distance to Hallen and Sam. So nothing going on up at the top right now besides everybody kind of waiting patiently, it looks like.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how it works here at Road Atlanta. You got the first half of a track you've just got to survive, and then on the second half is where you make your overtakements. Currently, we have a battle, I'm being told, for 11th position, as Sam Kalir looks on the inside of Thomas Szabo, but not able to make it stick, and he's probably going to have to wait, Joe, a whole nother lap before he can make another move, although he might try and turn 1.
He's going to have to be very brave through there because that is tough. He is right on top of Szabo's bumper. Szabo takes the inside line. It looks like McAleer's got to run. Is he going to try and go too wide through this right-hander? He is. It looks like he's staying beside him, but he loses out under the turn, and he slots in behind him. Probably a smart move. But behind them, I see that Simon Van Doon is in what position? That is 13th at the moment. So Van Doon, he's been one that's on a good upswing recently.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on Thomas Hallen, and because he went off track in the chicanes, I didn't know if he would get slowed down.
Georgianis hit the wall on the exit of turn 6, and looks like he got really bad damage. He's going to drop down the order and may have to go to a pit stop as well.
We're looking at that replay now, and it looks like it was just a very common mistake for this portion of the track. He went wide on 5, the uphill, and that barrier is not far away despite that sand trap. You see he just tracked off and kind of glanced it, but he came back because of the blow, and it just sucked him into the wall. Unfortunate development. He's been a bit unlucky, and right now I'm looking at him. He's got Simon Van Doon going by him down the back straight. That damage is probably, I have to imagine it's going to hurt him, wouldn't it, Ayrton?
Yeah, it looks like pretty bad damage. I think he might have to stop this time, and if not, he's going to suffer really badly. He has a whole pack of cars right around him, so he's slowing them down as well. He's coming really close. Actually, he has some contact from Arthur Chan right there as well. So he's struggling right now, holding up these guys. He's probably going to make things a little messy. Is he going to come into the pits right now?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've got a battle for second as Amjad Yaman is looking on the inside of Maillard. Maillard holds the outside, but they both stay through cleanly. They've got Freitas and Koumans right behind them, and Koumans is coming up the inside. What's going to be the outside 3 for Freitas? They almost touch, and they get through their side-by-side. Koumans somehow goes around the outside of 3. That was a hell of a move, Sam.
I'm watching the second pack about to come into 3 with Giannis and Arthur Chan still side by side, and now they go 3 wide with Trevor Mack, and Giannis able to escape a little bit. Obviously, that damage on the front of Giannis's car is going to affect his straight line speed, but when it comes to his twisty section, seems to be doing him all right.
Yeah, and Mack, boy, he had to really get out of it, and he backed up that pack behind him. That's Tom Rachi, looks like Thomas Torp and Stefan Moriane back there, and those guys. And Torp is actually looking to pop on Rachi as they come on to turn 6 here, Ayrton.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, it looks like they're really close at the moment. Georgiana seems to be doing okay. I was surprised he didn't come into the pits because of that damage, but he seems to be doing all right now. Probably lost straight line speed. But yeah, you're right. They've spread out a little more now. Not anyone really close except Arthur Chan on Jared Janis, who actually might get a run at him now. He's getting a run. Looks like he's going to go to the inside, and he's probably going to clear him for the chicane, it looks like Jared Janis is really suffering straight line speed.
Well, we've got a great battle going on between Eklund and Freitas, and that is currently up for 5th and 6th. Eklund is our championship leader. So
and we've got a battle for the lead. My lad looking down the inside of Hallinan. Hallinan, though, not giving him the line. And turn 1 here is really not a turn where you want to go side by side. But it looks like Eklund makes the pass stick on Freitas, Joe.
Yeah, he's gotten by. That was really important for him because if he's got the speed over Freitas, he's got to start running down Koumans. He's got to, I mean, this is pretty direct.
Maya just got out of a gas as he attempted to pass on Hallinan through turn 3. Koumans took advantage of Yarman slowing down for that, and Koumans is up into 3rd. Koumans making some really aggressive moves early on, but he's making them stick, and that's what counts.
And now Eklund is on the hunt too. He's looking to the outside of Yaman, coming towards 6. Is he going to be able to hold it through that banked right-hander? We're going to find out as they now break for the corner. He stays with him, but on entry, it looks like he just doesn't have it. He's really got to get by him, and it looks like he's going to get his opportunity to get down the back stretch here, Ayrton.
Yeah, it looks like Tumas Hallinan is actually slowing these guys a lot, and a lot of them are trying to be impatient as Eklund is now going on the outside of Amjad Yaman. It looks like he's going to have the draft, but now Freitas is going to get the draft as well. Is he going to make it 3 wide, or is he just going to sit behind Eklund?
Knowing Freitas, I'm pretty sure he's going to try and make it 3 wide through here. He's closing up, but it's not going to be 3 wide. In fact, he bump drafts Eklund, so he's trying to work with him as they now gain yet another position, but he decides that's enough of that already, and he slips on by up under braking and gets the position over Eklund. So it's not over as Eklund has a better exit coming down towards that final turn, but he's held up, and now Yaman is coming around the outside on this fast right-hander towards the start-finish line. They make slight contact. Yaman backs out of it. That allows Moore to get up on the inside of him. And now Eklund is trying to get on the outside of Freitas, Sam.
Yeah, but backs out as they're going to turn 1. We'll see what happens in turn 3. Meanwhile, Yannick Kemp out the race. 28 cars left on the lead lap. Freitas throwing a bit of a block to stop Eklund from attempting anything in turn 3. And they'll all go through single file this time, although Freitas is far off. But it's Eklund who's made a mistake, and he's lost a position to Moura. And Moura, where has he came out of? I think he started 7th, and all of a sudden he's up to 5th.
Like I said, you just can't count out Moura. He's got the speed. He hasn't been up there all season, but he's got to win, and that counts for something. Eklund's still fighting it out as Yaman is coming back. These guys haven't settled down in the least. In fact, they've got Josh Leutz behind them looking to take advantage. Whoa! Leutz makes a huge dive into 6, but doesn't make anything of it. But wow, I can't believe he tried to make that work, guys.
There's been a lot of crazy moves early on here, Joe. It looks like it's going to calm down a bit right now. Eklund, Yamin, Leutz, and Mogren still. The camera, let's leave on those guys. Mogren at the back of that, haven't mentioned him a whole lot. He seems to have fallen a bit off in the second half of the season, but he's really coming to life today, Joe, as Yamin is looking down the inside of Eklund.
I'm sorry, but Koumans just went by Meyer. Koumans is still making progress. Sorry to interrupt there, but he's now got himself up into 2nd. Hallinan has started to move himself away from the pack. He's broken the draft, but it looks like Koumans is on the go here.
Yeah, and Yamin just lost 2 spots there. It seems that Yamin's given these positions up very easily,
Yeah, and now Evan Maillard going on the inside of Jan Koumans. They're going to go 2 wide through turn 1. Looks like Koumans actually going to hold it. And now they're still side by side as they're heading over to turn 2. Looks like Evan Maillard's going to get the inside, and Koumans is going to break really late and shoot him around. And now Maillard's under threat from João Freitas and Sergio Mora as well.
Yeah, Koumans absolutely chopped him off. That was very brave. But I heard over the radio that Freitas was telling them, we got to go get Hallinan, and he's running away. So Freitas is trying to get everybody to start to work together here.
That's not the first time he's came over the radio and said that, Joe. I believe he said that a couple of laps ago. But right now, if he really wants them to get single file, it looks like he'd give up his position to Mura. That's indeed what happens. Or is it? Yes, it is. So now they're single file. Now maybe they're happy with where they are, and maybe now they can try and run down and catch Hallinan, because if anyone can do it, Koumans can. So all the other drivers are going to have to try and get onto Koumans' rear bumper and draft up there as Freitas goes back by Mura, though.
Well, Koumans is now free of Maillard, so at this point it's going to be a straight fight between these two, because I don't think Maillard's close enough to start pulling in that draft. we'll have to watch the timing. Last time by, it was 1.9 seconds between Tumis and Jan. When they go by, we'll update you on that. But yeah, looking back at this, what is this? Fourth, fifth, and sixth, yes, between Freitas, Mora, and Richard Eklund. They're still hotly contested, but they seem to be in line at the moment. They're coming across the line now, the leaders, and it looks like it's now 2.1 seconds. Koeman's lost a little bit, but he was fighting with Maillard early on in the lap. We'll probably get a clearer picture next time by, hopefully, as long as no more mistakes happen. But it's still hotly contested up here, Sam.
Yeah, but I mean, he's catching him and he's fighting for position. So now that he's not fighting for position, I'm sure he'll be catching him even more. By the way, we got a good battle going on for about 7th here still between Yarmin, Leutz, and Mogren. This is really where the action is still happening as of right now. Not that it's not happening up front, but this is the stuff that's happening right now.
Yeah, and Mogren's pretty close to Josh Leutz at the moment, and that is for what I believe is 8th and 9th. Mogren in the black and white car, and Leutz in the blue and white machine there. But Leutz is a guy that we haven't seen a whole lot, and when he's on song, I have to say that he is a pretty fierce competitor. You can't count him out, Sam.
No, honestly, I haven't gotten to see him race a whole lot this year, but I know he's regular in CESCS, and also he was leading at Lime Rock before he put it in the wall. Looks like he's going to lose a position to Mogren here now. It looks like we've got 3 sets of 3-car packs, this being the first one of them, and then there's a battle for about 10th going on behind that, and then a battle for about 13th going on behind that. Mogren going to try and outbrake Leutz. Leutz gives him the position. Behind them, they stay single file, and in the third pack behind them, they're single file, so they'll log another lap before they'll try again.
That was a very nice, clean pass, almost textbook from Mogren. Those, I would have to say that maybe Leutz kind of knew that his the jig was up there and gave it up to him. But I don't think it's going to be over yet as he holds on to that draft coming into the technical portion of the track. I'm going to hop back up front to see what exactly is going on up there. Last time by, Koeman's chopped off half a second from Hallinan, so Koeman's definitely on better pace at the moment, and we are only on lap 10, so we're not quite halfway through. And eventually, Ayrton, I imagine pit stops are going to come into play, and we all know how Koeman's is with those.
Yeah, and it's not just Koeman's. Evan Maillard ran an identical lap to Koeman's as well. So this whole pack here from 2nd to 5th is catching up to Tumis Hallinan, and he's going to be in trouble pretty soon.
Yes, I'm looking back to 4th and 5th between Freitas and Mora, and it looks like those guys are pretty much staying in line. I noticed that Eklund was a bit back, but now he's caught up. So these three are still kind of together. It looks like Mora's got a draft. I'm wondering if he's going to stay with him or if he's going to bump draft or what exactly they're going to do here. It looks like he's going to swing on past, so they're possibly slingshotting each other. And we're getting a bit of backstory here between Mogren and Leutz. They had a close battle back in the Continental Series, and that resulted in Leutz punting Mogren. So those two have a bit of a history, it seems. Mora was able to swing on by Freitas pretty cleanly. There wasn't really much battle between them coming into that chicane, so these three definitely seem to be trying to work together at the moment. They've just gone by the line yet again, and Koeman's actually didn't make any progress on Tumis this time. That's interesting, Sam.
Yeah, and pit stops beginning. Another Sam McAleer coming down into the pits. And what's surprising me, you see going by him right now, is Giannis is still out on track. If a pit window is open and I was Giannis, I'd be coming in now to get that damage repaired. He must be pretty happy with his car. But McAleer is in, the pit stops have begun, and pit stops and lap traffic is something that's still going to have to come into play. Oh, and Hallinan's in the wall! There's a crash! And into the lead goes Jan Koemans! Out of the chicane, and Hallinan throws away another one.
Ah, that is just gut-wrenching for Hallinan. We're looking at the replay now to see what exactly happened. It looks like he got loose and overcorrected once again into turn 5. That's the second car we've seen bit by this corner. And I remember back in the Continental race a few months ago, this was the one that kept catching out guys like Freitas, Sam. So this seems to be the demon corner on this track.
Yeah, and I mean, Hallinan he needed to do a race where he just didn't crack under pressure, maybe even let a couple cars by, get a podium, get a top 5 finish, but That's not going to happen now, I'm afraid. And meanwhile, Koeman's just broken away from Maillard at the front of the pack, and Mura is now challenging for second.
And he's on the outside, and they're very close coming through that chicane, but Mura is able to out-drag him on the outside of the corner, and that slows down Maillard a lot because he's got first all the way past him before the final corner. Eklund isn't close enough to make anything happen, but Maillard, 2 places and 2 corners, more or less.
Freitas on the radio again. I couldn't quite catch what he was saying. I don't know if it's let's go single file again and catch Koeman's down, or thank you, Maillard, for not cutting me off. Meanwhile, pit stops continuing with Hallinan, who's remained in the top 10, surprisingly enough. I guess the damage isn't as bad as what I thought it was. Hallinan and Doon are in the pits.
Now, I've been kind of watching Eklund, and he's still back in 5th behind Maillard right now. I can't tell if he doesn't have the speed or if he's trying to kind of wait.
Jan Koeman spins. He spins on the same exact corner, doesn't hit the wall, but does have contact with Richard Eklund, and that's going to drop him really far back. And it looks like Richard Eklund may have some damage as well, but he is passing Evan Maillard, and Sergio Mora is now into the lead of the race.
I hope we go to the replay of that because it was oh so close between Koemans and Eklund, and I mean those are our 2 leaders in the championship.
Battle for third. Maillard and Eklund make contact as they come out onto the backstretch. No harm, no foul though, and all of a sudden Freitas talking on the radio again. I don't know if he's saying let's get single file. It's paid off for him. He's up in 2nd right now. Let's not remember championship implications here. Eklund and Koeman's in the collision. They're fighting for a championship, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know that they actually touched. It was extremely close, and Eklund once again holding back. I'm pretty sure at this point, watching him with Maillard, that Eklund is kind of waiting it out. I think he's grown a lot smarter than we've seen him in the past, and he's waiting till the end of the race to try and charge up to the front, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, Eklund has become known as a driver who makes mistakes, unfortunately. I mean, he's still leading the points, but still, could be leading points by a lot more if he didn't keep making mistakes. So yeah, maybe you're right, Joe. Maybe he's trying a new approach today, especially considering this is such a tricky track. And we might as well keep our camera on the leaders this time and see if turn 5 bites another one of them again.
Yeah, I'm watching Mora right now. Freitas was pretty close, but he dropped a bit of time through 3, so maybe Mora's just a little bit better through that corner. They're coming towards 5 now. This seems to be the place that just these guys can't get a handle on. And I have to admit, especially with the way this car handles on the new tire model, that's got to be a really tough corner because the car likes to oversteer if you chuck it in too hard. And that corner would do it even before this tire model.
Yeah, Koeman's just came into pit. He does have a tiny bit of damage on the car. And as he comes out of the pits, Hallinan is only about less than a second back of him. So really, they haven't lost a whole lot of time in relation to each other. They're going to have to try and work together and see how, see where they come up when all the leaders pit.
Yeah, and talking about Freitas and Mora, I actually think that they worked pretty well together, considering like the first few laps they were fighting. Then
I'm sorry, Thomas Torp just was into the wall, and Tuomas Hallinan hit him yet again. So more damage for Tuomas after having it once already in turn 5, but once again it was in turn 5 that Torp lost it. And wow, this place, it's almost cursed, I have to say, Ayrton.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of drivers getting very loose, and I just watched that contact from Tuomas Hallinan. It shouldn't do too much damage to him, but hopefully he can stick to Jan Koemans. But yeah, I just think the more conservative drivers like João Freitas and Sergio Mora, since they've been working together, they've been staying out of trouble, and look now, they're in 1st and 2nd.
And look in the pits. Into the pits comes Thomas Szabo, and the significance there is that he has a damaged car because another victim of turn 5 was Marco Mogren, spun right in front of him earlier this lap, and Szabo had nowhere to go and slid into the wall. So Mogren and Szabo, who were running in the top 10, their races have gone south as well.
I'm starting to wonder, with Freitas being one of the guys that just had an awful time with turn 5 back in the Continental race a few months ago. He's one of the few, and I'm knocking on wood here, that hasn't made a mistake in 5 yet. So maybe he's got a little bit of a lesson up in his head that these other guys don't, Sam.
And, I mean, Ayrton was trying to talk me out of picking Freitas to win this race because of that reason, that he spun out a lot at turn 5 in the CES-CS race. My response to that is kind of, well, maybe he was just experimenting. I mean, maybe he was going for the win because he's not fighting for a points championship in CESCS, so he might as well find out the limits so that when he comes here to fight for a points championship, he knows how hard he can push that car in turn 5, Burton.
Yeah, and I guess you're right about that. He's definitely playing a lot more conservative, but then again, we've seen a lot of these guys in the top 4 go very wide on the exit of that, so a slight little mistake just in the dirt or getting a little too loose could end it for them, so they still have to be very careful.
Yeah, and Maillard is into the pits. Now, the significance here is, theoretically, he should come out in front of Hallinan and Koemans. Hallinan has gone by Koemans, by the way, but how much? Because I have a feeling that Hallinan and Koemans, I haven't been watching their lap times to see if they're still on pace or not, but if they can run the rest of these guys down, it's going to be a matter of how far behind Maillard are they when he comes out of the pits, Joe.
Yeah, and we've seen Jan Koemans pull that trick before where we thought he'd been written off because of a mistake, and he just kind of got some clear air, although he doesn't have it now with Tuomas Hallinan in front of him. So he's coming around the start-finish line right now. Where's Maillard?
Well, look at the chat. In the chat, Jan Koemans just said to Tuomas Hallinan, hey, let's work together. Hallinan said, okay. Maillard just came out of the pits, and Hallinan and Koemans are coming in turn 1. Given that I think Koemans and Hallinan are 2 of the faster drivers here today, I have a feeling they're not quite out of this yet, Joe.
Yeah, we've learned not to write Koemans off whatsoever, even when it seems like the worst of it has happened. Because, I mean, he's had even harder knocks than he had. Whoa! And Maillard has a spin in front of him. That was Joseph Arrow that just lost it. So, crisis averted there. And Arrow actually comes all the way across the track to try and get out of the line because everybody's going so wide through there. And, yeah, I'm not surprised to see these guys starting to wise up, such as Koemans and Tuomas, saying, let's work together. I think they're starting to see that they're just holding everybody up by duking it out so much. You really kind of just got to stick together. And I'm pretty sure that's what Freitas and Mora are doing in the lead at the moment. Looks like last time by... Go ahead.
They are, Joe, because Freitas rolled out of the gas when he could have easily taken the lead from Mura last lap. Meanwhile, Eklund and Yarmin are into the pits, and our spotter, Stefan Overgaard, just pointed something out to us that right behind Koemans and Hallinan is Sam McAleer, who has already made a pit stop. So there's a bunch of names who could still be in this thing.
McAleer is one we haven't talked a lot about, except maybe to mention that he's having a bad season. I'd be really happy, since you mentioned that he's already had his pit, that could effectively mean he's up towards the top 5, as he's actually looking on the inside of Hallinan at the moment, and he's actually got him.
Eklund coming out of the pits meanwhile, and he is going to have Maillard cleared. So, could Eklund potentially be our leader once all these pit stops are done? He is one of the drivers who hasn't made a mistake so far, and we've only got about 10 laps to go, Joe.
Yeah, it's starting to get down to the end here, and he's got Maillard behind him. This could be a good opportunity with Maillard's speed for those two to hook up, but they've got to have the cliche buddy movie moment going on of begrudgingly working together at this point, I think.
Meanwhile, we have Amjad Yaman only about a second or two behind them, and if they start battling out, Yaman will be able to catch back up. He was up there earlier on, but he got knocked down a little bit just from mistakes. And it actually looks like, is that contact between Eklund and Maillard? Because they went too wide entering the backstretch. It looked like a little nub by Maillard there.
I don't think it was. What happened is Eklund overshot the turn and Maillard looked down the inside. Meanwhile, Mura and Freitas are in the pits.
And side by side down the backstretch for Eklund and Maillard. So Maillard's going to get on by him, but we're going to see what happens under braking as they get into the braking zone now. Who's going to be better? No, it looks like Eklund just slots in behind. So like I said, he seems to be playing a smart race here. He slipped down to 4th, but it's just not over. Let's look back with Mora and Freitas. Those two, as you said, I've looked, it's a lot of people going in twos, and it looks like Mora is actually out ahead as Freitas is still in the pits. In fact, it's a very long pit for Freitas. Mora is well easily out. Where is Eklund?
Nowhere near. Freitas is still by far in second, but this has really not worked out well for Freitas because Mura's like, all right, thank you, teammate, bye-bye. And now Mura, thanks to Freitas, has been able to pull away from Freitas and the rest of the field and can go on and win this race, bar any incident. And I place emphasis on bar any incident.
Now, I find this interesting because Freitas was the one behind Mora for most of the time, so he was the one that could have been conserving gas there. But Mora came out with a much shorter stop. Now we'll have to have our spotter go and check the times here to see what the average pit stop time is, because I wonder if Sergio may have short fueled it, and he could be playing a very risky game here.
Meanwhile, on back through the field, Thomas Hallinan, who has been passed by Koemans, Leutz and McAleer, now has Dune all over the back of him. I have a feeling, that Thomas still has quite a bit of damage on that car.
Yeah, he seems to have dropped back quite a bit from Jan Koeman, so he may be struggling right now, but he did run actually, no, that's about a second off what they should be running, so yeah, he's definitely got some damage, and Koemans is now not too far back from the front back, so he might be catching up, as Yaman actually just passed Richard Eklund on the backstretch.
Yeah, and right behind them is Koemans, and this is, we keep talking about championship implications. This is direct here. If Eklund finishes ahead of Koemans, that's what he needs to stay ahead here, because there's only 9 points between them. I mean, it's pretty much who stays ahead of the other throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, meanwhile, João Freitas and Mora as well, they're going to gain some time on both of those, and Amjad Yaman is going to gain some time as well, so 3 guys behind the top 2 in the standings are ahead in this race.
I was looking at lap times. Richard Eklund last time by 140.4. Jan Koemans 139.2. Now, I think Richard had some battles going on during there, so that could have slowed him down, but that's still a huge chunk. So Koemans clearly has got the pace, guys.
Speaking of huge, we've got a huge battle for ninths going on right now. 4-car pack. Dune has just taken that position from Thomas Hallinan. Then you got Janis, who had that crash early in the race, handing out in 11th, and Trevor Mack, the big Mac, running in 12th right behind him.
I'm pretty impressed with Dune and the way he's been running. Whoa, he gets very loose, though. I think I'm sorry, I need to stop talking about how good he is, because now he's got Hallinan on him, and it looks like Janis and Big Mac are in a battle, too. They're going to go 2 by 2, coming through turn 6, but Dune is able to hold him off as Hallinan actually goes wide, Sam.
Yeah, but able to get back on in front of Janis, and but that gives Dune a little bit of room to escape, but still, that's not going to mean anything, because Hallinan will run him down. Meanwhile, I'm still keeping half an eye on the battle for 4th, as Eklund is looking under position for... oh, and actually, he might take it from Yaman here. Yaman not putting up too much of a fight. They're very close coming out of a final turn of that chicane, and Eklund has taken 4th place from Yaman, Joe.
You have a funny definition of not much of a fight, because he was clinging on to that position, if you ask me. But he's still on behind Eklund at the moment, so it's not over. In fact, he's taking a look up at the inside of turn 1. Is he going to try and go too wide? Eklund's not going to be happy about that, but he backs out, and it looks like Yaman's got the spot back. And it's not over,
not going to give it up.
Yeah, Eklund was trying to come back on turn 3 there, but he's on the outside and decides to slot back into line. Whew! It's this has been an intense one. So it looks like at the moment...
Koemans has got slowdown penalty. He was running in 6th. He has just given that up to Sam McAleer, and now Joshua Leutz isn't really battling for points, but he decides not to battle Jean, and actually gets a little squiggly there, but Koemans has just lost at 6th position. That could make a big swing in the points, Joe.
Marco Mogren in 13th just went into the wall on the exit of turn 3, and looks like he's out of the race.
Another one bites the dust, and yeah, Koemans, he seems to be pushing for him to get so greedy on 3 to get a slowdown. And I mean, I know everybody's going wide, but Koemans is really pushing it to the edge coming out of 5 there, and just almost brushing the wall each time, it seems like. This gives Eklund just a little bit of leeway, and he's actually dropped a little bit back from Yaman, it looks like, Sam.
Yeah, I had my camera set firmly fixed on the chicanes there that lap, because there were a lot of drivers going off and all over the place. Really, it's kind of spread out in the top 7 or 8 or so right now. The biggest battle going on right now is still this 4-way battle for 8th position. And, you know, I think considering that Koeman's almost had a big crash, he might be okay with a 7th. It's going to kind of keep him in championship contention, I think.
It's, I think, possibly damage control time for him and maybe just consolidate his spot. I'm looking back up at the front, and Mora's been holding the gap to Freitas at the moment. In fact, it's about over 4 seconds between them. So there's, I mean, unless Mora makes a mistake, Freitas does not have the draft from him, although he's got Eric Garcia in front of him right now coming through 5, and it looks like he's going to clear him before 6, as that's just a lap car. But Mora has been doing fairly well, and with only 7 laps to go, I think he's only got to hold it together because Maillard's too far back to try and run him down at this point.
You say just a lap car, but I mean, lap cars can change the outcome of a race. We saw Ben Tucker almost lose it coming out of turn 5 that lap, and had he done that, he would have taken Sam McAleer right out of this race.
We also have to remember from last season, Jan Koemans was dominating this race and got taken out by a lap car, so it's not over until it's over.
We always have to be reminded of that. Speaking of Sam McAleer, he did a 1:38.9 at one point, which is pretty comparable to the fastest guys. So I wonder if he likes this track. He seems to be doing fairly well. He's currently holding 6. This is a pretty good race for him, I have to say, Sam.
Yeah, there's been a lot of drivers who would usually be up there in the top 5 last season, but this series has just become so much more competitive over the past few months that a top 5 last year is worth about a top 15 now. Sam McAleer might be able to pull off a top 6, and you never know. One of the drivers spins out in front of him, he may be able to pull out a top 5 here today.
Yeah, McAleer may be one of our fastest, highest movers, because he started in 16th position, and now in 6th, that's 10 positions.
Yeah, and you have to remember that in the first race, he was one of the top 6 guys. So he's had the speed in the past. Just, I think his confidence got shaken by some really bad races and some just bad luck going on. But he is certainly up there today because he's got Koemans behind him, and he doesn't seem to be giving leeway anytime soon at the moment.
Yeah, Mura just made a mistake out of turn 5. It wasn't a loose mistake, it was more of an understeer mistake, because he went right through the gravel and lost about 0.6 of a second to Freitas. But unless he does that every lap, it still looks like it's Mura's for the taking.
So right now, just
real
quick.
And there's a crash. Yeah, Giannis again. I think it's just a single car spin coming out of turn 4. Wow, they were going 3 wide in turn 4. That's not something you want to do. And Giannis collided with Thomas Hallinan. Big Mac had backed out of it, and that could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah, I think they just got bunched up, and it was end of the race, so I think Giannis was just trying to take advantage of that. Yeah, he didn't get a hard hit on anything, just maybe a tap on another car, so he's still going, although I think he'll want to forget today, because he is currently, I'm seeing 12th, but I think he's lower than that now that he lost some positions there. Yeah, let's hop back up to the front and see how this top battle is going. I just want to give you real quick the top 5. Mora is leading. Yao Freitas is in 2nd. Evan Maillard is holding down 3rd. Amjad Yaman is in 4th, with Richard Eklund very close behind in 5th. And I think it's worth pointing out, looking back at that championship standings, Yaman, he's far back, but he's ahead of Richard Eklund right now. So this is going to allow him to move up. Same thing with Freitas up in 2nd, guys, and Mora up in 1st.
Mura has missed 5 races this season, and that means for those races he gets scored based on his average points amount. Well, that average points amount is going to go up today with this win, and Ayrton, that's pretty good considering it's Mura.
Well, it's also pretty good considering that he already has the highest average finish and highest points amount so far this season. So he's a good 3 points higher than anyone else at the moment. So that's just going to make that even bigger, and he could have a really big points gain with this race.
And I think it's worth noting that if he does win today, he's going to join the likes of Timo Tuliainen as one of only 3 people this season who've won multiple races. The other one obviously being Koemans. But this one could set Koemans back just a little bit, although I wonder if maybe he's starting to do what we said earlier, just kind of cool off, realize I just got to finish decently and, keep racking up those points, because he doesn't seem to be making much inroads onto Eklund at the moment.
No, and the last 2 races of the season will be at Summit Point and at Sebring, the modified version, which are much shorter tracks than this, and that usually means much more action. Meanwhile, Sam McAleer and Koemans are having a battle going on for 5th. Koemans in front right now, but with 4 laps left to go, there's still plenty of time for that to change, Ayrton.
Yeah, and that's actually for the 6th position, and Sam McAleer just passed Joshua Loyce. Those guys have been switching around quite a lot in these past few laps, and it looks like Jan Koemans does have some pretty bad damage. So Sam McAleer is still putting some pressure on, and Koemans is probably just going to have to defend at the moment. I don't think he's going to be able to catch Eklund at this point.
Meanwhile, Mura's right behind a lot of the lap traffic right here, guys, including George Fike, who spun about a lap ago.
Yeah, I was just about to say that he was struggling trying to get by this guy, and I don't know if it was traffic that was holding Mora up, but in the last 2 laps, it's gone down from 4.3 to 2.9 last time by at the line, so either Freitas has turned the afterburners on or Mora is struggling because time is dropping. We're 23 laps in, so we've got only a handful of laps left to go. It's not over, as we keep saying. Freitas is pulling him in.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit more than that, because once they get by Dexter Castro, Thomas Zarbo's a little bit ways up the road. Lap traffic is really about to thin out for Mura.
But keep in mind, all Freitas has to do is, with maybe 2 laps left, get within the draft of Mora, and that's just going to suck him in like nothing. So Freitas just has to be there on the last lap, and we could see that final lap snipe that we keep talking about.
Yeah, and as some drivers at the tail end of the field not having good days, I see Stefan Murray in the pits right now. Meanwhile, we've got a good battle going for 4th going on right now. That's really been the best battle in the top 5 the past few laps. I have a feeling we're about to ride on board Richard Eklund in 5th place, see what kind of opportunities there are around here to make a move on Yarman, if there are any.
Yeah, let's see what it's like trying to chase down Yarman from on board Eklund, as you mentioned. So it looks like he's actually fairly close, as you were pointing out. And I really don't think that Yarman is going to give it up easily here, because he is still in this championship hunt, even though it's a long shot. And he's not going to want to give it up to the championship leader, because he's got to stay ahead of him to try and run him down.
Yeah, meanwhile, keeping you updated on the battle up front. 3 laps left to go. They're catching up with the lap car of Dexter Castro. Currently 1.5 seconds between Mura and Freitas. Castro should pull over for them on the backstretch here.
And Castro's usually pretty considerate, so I'm sure he'll give them that easily. But yeah, it looks like that Eklund isn't really making inroads at the moment. In fact, he ducks out of the draft from Yarman, which is odd. Not something I would think that he'd usually do down the back straightaway, with it being so near the end of the race. We're on lap 24, getting ready to head to lap 25, so at the line, it'll be 2 laps left. Freitas is 2 seconds back. In fact, it looks like he's starting to get the draft now. Yeah, he is closer than that. You're right. It's 1 second this time. And they've, as you mentioned, they've got Dexter ahead of him. So if he doesn't get out of the way coming up before the S's, that could slow down Mora significantly.
Well, Castro isn't the slowest driver out there, but like you say, the S's take up about half a lap. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll find out in about 30 seconds here, which one of these drivers is going to come out on top as they come out of these chicanes.
Yeah, it looks like the chicanes actually might slow down Sergio Mora quite a bit. He might soon. Freitas is now right on top of him, so they've got 2 laps to go, and Jeff Freitas is well in the draft. This could be a race to the end.
Yeah. 1.5 lap. Yeah, he's definitely in shooting range.
Now the question is, does he do it this time by, or does he wait till the next lap? If I was Freitas, I'd say wait until the final one, but it is definitely on. Let's stay with this battle until the end, as they are now past Dexter Castro. It is a long way up to Jonathan Keir, so it is between these 2 and only these 2 for 1st and 2nd. Who is going to come out ahead on winning round 13, Sam?
Well, let's see. Freitas saying here, kitty. Like, I don't think Freitas is the highest driver in the points this season that doesn't have a win. So you know he wants it. It will certainly be a big swing in the points for him. And he's trying. These 2 followed each other, but I think he backed off a little bit right there. Maybe he is trying for the final lap, because he certainly did back off there. White flag about to come out in the air, Joe.
Real quick, Rachi was a victim of turn 5 as well, so damage for him. And yes, white flag's coming in. And Mora has to duck in. Mora did not fill enough, it seems. It looks like Freitas is going to have it handed to him without having to make the pass, as Mora goes in for a splash and dash at the very end, giving Maillard 2nd, and that's going to bump up Amjad Yaman to 3rd. Incredible development, Sam.
Yes, it is, and wow, I mean, all he's gonna need, like you say, is a splash and dash. I haven't seen how close the field are, though. I have a feeling this is gonna put him back to about 10th position even, maybe 8th, but still, it's certainly not gonna help Mover in the championship. He goes from being the big winner of today, unfortunately, to the big loser.
I wondered about that stop. It was such a short stop, and I think that explains why Freitas was able to start running him down suddenly, because I guess Mora was trying to save gas. So it looks like Freitas has got a fairly decent lead on Maillard, although a mistake from Freitas could hand it away. He's just got this final backstretch, then a chicane, and then those fast right-handers to go. So all he has to do is hold it together for a few more corners.
Yeah, and Koemans is in front in his battle for McAleer, so that'll pretty much wrap up 5th place from him. So a good day for Koemans, considering he was kind of playing damage limitation.
Well, the prettiest flower perhaps is always the last one to come out to bloom, because it looks like João Freitas is going to make it a win today if he can just hold it together through these corners. The left, then the right, then on up over the hill he goes. The checkered flag is waiting. Freitas is going to get his first win of the season towards the end once again as he comes across the line to take the win at Road Atlanta for the Blondies MX5 World Tour. Excellent stuff from Freitas.
I never would have said that at the start of a race that Freitas was gonna. Oh wait, I did. And behind him is Maillard in 2nd, Yarmin in 3rd, Eklund in 4th place, and in 5th place is Jan Koeman.
And it looks like McAleer actually gets 6th, and Mora comes out with a 7th.
And there's a battle for 9th coming out of a final turn. Dune trying to make a pass on Trevor Mack. These guys are going to get top 10 finishes. Dune continuing his impressive streak of top 10s with a 9th place here today.
I'm sorry, I was incorrect. Josh Loitz took home 7th. Sergio Mora finished in 8th. As you said, Simon Van Doon in 9th, and Trevor Mack in 10th. They're continuing to come across the line. But wow, that I thought this thing was going to be at first I thought it was going to be over with Mora just running away with it. Then it looked like it was going to be a crazy battle, and then suddenly it all flipped on its head yet again. This track just never seems to be short of surprises, Sam.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And honestly, I mean, we didn't expect that finish, but we expected something crazy. Like you say, that's Road Atlanta for you, and we'll have a full rundown for you when we come back from this break.
Welcome back. That was an incredible race at the Road Atlanta full circuit for the Blondies MX5 World Tour. João Freitas came away with the win, as we mentioned. We'll go through the field real quick here. Evan Mayer pulled off second. Amjad Yaman had third. Richard Eklund finished fourth. Jan Koemans finished fifth. Sam McAleer came in sixth. Then Joshua Leutz in seventh. Sergio Mora in eighth. Simon Van Doon finished ninth. And Trevor Mack finished 10th. What are the next 10, Sam?
Well, Gertrude got 11th after an incident at the start. Thomas Hallinan got 12th after an incident mid-race. Thomas Rattray got 13th after an incident towards the end of the race. Arthur Tran, who won here last year, finished 14th. Benjamin Lanouette in 15th. Joseph Aero and Jonathan Keir had a battle on the final lap. Joseph emerged triumphant in 16th and Jonathan 17th. Dexter Castro, first car 1 lap down, didn't make a grid. He finished 18th with Thomas Szabo in 19th and Ben Tucker rounding out the top 20, Ayrton.
Then we have Matthias Swaney in 21st, Jeremy Naylor in 22nd, Eric Garcia in 23rd, Stefan Morian in 24th, George Fike in 25th, and then we had Timo Tuliainen in 26th after that bad start. And then we have our retirements, Marco Mogren, Thomas Torp, Bill Zion, Yannick Kemp, and Mihai Messison.
Well, we've got our podium here ready to be interviewed, at least some of them. We're going to start off with third place finisher Amjad Yaman and ask him about his race, because he certainly had a good battle going on with Richard Eklund for most of the race. If we can get him in here. There he is. Amjad, you had a pretty good battle with Richard Eklund for most of the race. Were you fighting because of the championship points, or was this a thing of pride for you?
A little bit of column A, a little bit from column B. Yeah, the points were nice, but to beat one of the best guys in this series straight up, I'll take it.
You were 55 points back from Richard before this race. How do you see your chances with only 2 rounds to go? Are you still going to try and get the championship crown, or are you just going race to race now?
It's always been race to race for me. Just hang in there, keep my nose clean, and finish as high as I can. At this point, the other two have to crash out if I'm going to have the championship. So I'm just tuned for the good ride.
All right. Well, congratulations on a podium today. Well earned. It was a tough track for a lot of guys. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks.
Next up, we have our race winner, it looks like. Sam, would you like to talk to João Freitas?
Yeah, certainly. We're just going to get João Freitas into the booth right here, and we'll be able to talk to our race winner. Here he is, João Freitas. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Now, the GSRC were doing a broadcast a couple of months ago when you were in the CESCS here at Road Atlanta. You didn't have a great race that day. You spun out a few times. Did the lessons from that race, did you use those to your advantage today?
Yeah, most definitely. I knew where were my weak spots in this track, so I take it easy in that turn 5. So I didn't make any mistakes this time, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Now, on the final lap, obviously, you were right behind Sergio Mura, and then he came into the pits. Did you know that he didn't have enough fuel to make it?
I had my suspicions because he did a very fast pit stop, but I really like to race till the finish. I would prefer that way.
Yeah, but the win's a win, and this certainly is going to help you out in the points. Looking at the next 2 races, we've got Summit Point and Sebring Modified. Do you think the championship is something you could get?
No, I don't think I can get the championship. I'm fighting for the podium in points now. I think Richard has got the championship by now. But I like the next tracks, so I see myself in the podium, hopefully.
Well, thank you for coming to talk to us, João, and congratulations on your win today. By the way, just to let you know, I picked you the win.
Thank you, Sam.
I'll have you know, I was 1 pit stop away from my pick from winning. But we've got Richard Eklund, who finished 4th today, also waiting to talk to us. Richard, it seems like maybe today was kind of a consolidation day for you. You were kind of waiting in the wings, and you, even though you had a hard battle with Amjad there for third, you weren't really charging up towards the front for most of the race. Was that intentional?
Yes and no. In the first stint of the race, I was pushing pretty hard, trying to keep up with Jan because I knew I had to stay at least one position behind him in order to keep myself with a decent chance in the championship. But then I saw he was up in second at one point. I was kind of getting frustrated, but I just kept my head cool. And then after he spun, I did hit him actually. I had a 4x, but I didn't get any damage from it somehow. I'm extremely lucky on that point. But after that, I was just taking it easy because I knew I'd be ahead of him.
This track seemed to catch a lot of good drivers out, especially turn 5. What were your thoughts on this? I mean, what was the place where you were struggling most? Because it really seemed to catch a lot of guys out.
I'm not sure. I thought I was pretty decent around the whole track. I wasn't really struggling anywhere other than passing people, but then again, I wasn't trying to be too aggressive. I said to Amjad over the radio that he can have the position. It was 4th at the time, I was in 5th, but then Sergio had to pit. I said I'm perfectly happy like this, but I forgot he doesn't have chat enabled in the race, so he didn't hear me anyway.
Well, thanks for coming and talking to us. It looks like since you finished ahead of Jan, your championship is still alive here. How do you fancy your chances the last 2 races before we let you go here?
Summit Point is always an interesting one. It's what I call an easy track, so it could be somebody who's not normally up at the top fighting with us. And there's also the draft down the straight, so that could be an interesting race. And then Sebring Modified, I don't even know what that track looks like, but I normally like all the tracks at Sebring that I try, so that should be okay. Jan said he will be missing one race, hopefully he sticks to his word, and then if he wins the other race, I'll just have to try and finish behind him.
All right. Well, again, thanks and good job on a well-earned 4th place finish.
Thanks.
We have one last person to talk to, and that is the other championship contender, and I believe Ayrton is going to talk to Jan Koemans.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Jan Koemans, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Ayrton.
So you had you got into the lead and then made a mistake and managed to get come back to 5th place. So can you tell us a little about what happened there on your mistake?
Yeah, it seems to be the story of this season, really. I don't know. I thought I was doing pretty well. I mean, like speed-wise, I managed to overtake a few people, which is really quite tricky here. So I was doing well, and then I was trying to catch with Thomas, who was going pretty well, really. So I was just thinking about my strategy, and then one lap he just spun out and turned 5 or something, I think. I was like, oh, that's weird. I mean, how did he do that? And then the next lap, I basically just did the exact same thing. I just got a bit too far to the right, just unsettled the car, and then I was just a passenger from there on. I would have gotten away with it too, except that Richard just barely tapped me, and that really screwed my car up.
Well, you did a good job at managing to get back there and finished only 1 position behind Richard Eklund, so you definitely still have a chance going into the championship with these last 2 races. Are you planning on still trying to compete for that championship?
Well, it's gonna be tough, Ayrton, because I mean, I very likely not gonna be here next week for the race. So then I get something like 70 or 80% of my points average, which is really pretty bad. So I think the only way is if Richard bins it into a wall somewhere, which I don't think he's gonna do. So, but I'm still having fun. You know, I'm going for wins. There's not much more I can do at this point.
Okay, well, a great race. You did a very good job with your comeback, and we were hoping that you might have been able to repeat what you did earlier in the season where you somehow wrecked and managed to somehow come out with a win. I think that was Okayama.
Yeah, actually, I have to say, it felt almost like winning just getting the car home in this position because it was literally undrivable. I almost crashed like every other corner, I think, and then in going into the pit lane, I turned in and nothing happened, so I went straight over the grass and just managed to avoid the pit wall. So all in all, it's a pretty good evening for me.
Okay, well, good job. Do you have anyone that you want to thank or mention out?
Well, I want to thank you guys, obviously. You're doing a great job. I always enjoy watching the broadcast afterwards. Blondies, Bill, all you guys. Same as every week, really.
Okay, back to you, Joe.
When he said he would have had it, I was hoping that he would follow up if it weren't for those meddling kids, but I guess it's not the case. we're going to wrap up today, but we want to thank a few people. Obviously, thanks to Blondies Bar in Long Beach, California, the official sponsor of the MX5 World Tour. Also, thanks to Bill Zahn, the league organizer. We could not do our broadcast without the likes of the software and hardware such as iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and AverMedia. Thanks to the team today, Giancarlo, Sam, Ayrton, and of course, obviously to Stefan Overgaard, our spotter today. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with much of our music. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but in our TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Our next race, as we mentioned, is going to be at Summit Point. That is the full course version, and that kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern on December 7th, next Saturday. Look forward to it because the championship is still extremely close and we've only got 2 rounds to go. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.